Welcome back to the Power Public YouTube channel. Today's video, we're going to be stepping you through the final part of our pre-season race winning engine preparations. Today's video is on the Vortex Mini Rod 60cc race engine. It is super popular here in Australia with the Cadet 9 and 12 drivers and all over the world. So if you do have one of these engines and you do want to get it ready for your racing season, these are some of the things that I would recommend you guys do at home that'll keep you racing on the track. A quick shout out to all the guys that are subscribing, turning on those pesky notifications. If you haven't done that already, please feel free to do that right now. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Power Public. Now onto the video. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the air box, clean the air filter, and then put that all back together. And to do that, we're just going to remove this hose clamp, slide the air box up, and then get some rags and we're going to dry all this off. On the previous race prep episodes, we haven't covered the air box and air filter, but if you do want to get it out, what I suggest is bending it with your thumb like this and then simply squeezing it and removing the air filter out of the air box that way. Because sometimes if you do just push it, it can actually slide into the air box and it can make them a real mission to get out. Now that we've removed the old air filter, you can actually wash these out. Now I have covered that in other videos, so you can find that if you go through our Power Public library. But what we're going to do, because it's the end of the season, we're going to put a fresh air filter. Before we install the new air filter, we're going to clean out the air box using a little bit of heavy duty degreaser and a rag. So we've got the fresh air filter to put back in to the air box. So we're just going to spray some, this is Motul air filter oil spray. Just give it a little bit of a spray onto the filter there like that. And you can just work it in with your hands. Probably not the safest thing you're ever going to do, but it gets the job done. And then we're ready to install this back into the air box. So now we're going to service the carburetor. Now we've got a great in-depth tutorial on how to do these carbies for the Vortex Mini Rod. But this is how we're going to get it off the cart. The first thing we're going to do is remove these two Phillips screws. Then we can remove the slide assembly out of the carburetor. Give that a bit of a clean while you've got it out. Just double check that your needle's not bent or damaged. Loosen this little hose clamp down here. Then we can remove the fuel line. And with a clean rag, you can just drag the carburetor out of the engine just like that. You can see this one here hasn't been serviced in a little while. It's had a bit of fuel leakage, and with the dirt out on the track, it's just built up on the bowl, and we're going to give that a good clean off. Just remember, kids, if you're working with solvents and compressed air at home to clean your carburetors, some safety gloves and safety glasses will get the job done. Remember, safety never takes a holiday. Now that we've cleaned the outside of the carburetor with a combination of degreaser and carburetor cleaner, we can pull the bowl off, blow out all the jets, and then put it all back together. Like I've said in other videos, we have covered this subject in great depth, so please filter through our library under the Vortex section. You'll find this very carburetor covered in full depth on how to service the Delorto carburetor for a Vortex Mini Rod. So now we can reinstall the carburetor back into his little house there. Do up the little hose clamp. We're going to reattach the fuel line and secure it with a new zip tie. Now we can reinstall the airbox. Simply go down on the bottom, then onto the top. Do up the hose clamp. We're going to reinstall the throttle slide assembly, making sure that the little cutout is facing the driver. There's a little slot there for it to go in on. And with the spring it makes it a little bit awkward. So you've just got to get the slide started and then just jiggle it around lightly because you don't want to force it in and bend the needle. Once it's all the way in, you can grab your Phillips screwdriver. And lastly, reinstall the breather hose. Like in the other videos, we're going to replace the spark plug simply by removing the cap, grabbing the appropriate socket ratchet. See, this one's been running pretty nice. We're just going to put a brand new in for it for the start of the racing season. If you are running a cylinder head temperature sensor, like this little engine is, we're going to cut off the little washer that comes with the spark plug, just using a pair of sideys. Just going to wedge them in there, cut that little washer off, bend it out of the way, then you can take it straight off like that. Now we're ready to install the new spark plug. In the last few videos of this series on the X30 and the K100, we've been removing the Bendix reduction gear out of the housing here on those engines. Now this engine's very similar. There's 2 screws down here on the bottom, 2 screws here on the top, and the 3 screws on the side. 1, 2, and 3. So with all those screws removed, you will be able to remove this whole assembly off the back of the engine. Now we have covered this in another video about Mini Rock starter reduction gears and clutches. So go and check that out too while you're at it. Doing some comprehensive off-season servicing to your car racing machine is critical to future performances on the track. Having things break down while you're at the circuit costs you time, which ultimately costs you results. So get these done before. Other things that you could do in the off-season is your fuel line and filter, which we've covered before, brake servicing, bleeding, new pads, seals. We've covered those in videos too, which you can search around our YouTube library and find out how to get those things done at home as well. We'd like to also make a special mention here for our Patreon fans and also our YouTube members. Really appreciate that support, guys, so thank you very much. If you haven't had enough of us by now, you can get some more Power Republic on Instagram and Facebook. We really appreciate everybody that's been following along over there. Also too, if you haven't turned on those notifications and hit that subscribe button, please consider. It makes this job so much easier. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.